What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Tournament Tactics NFL Week 8, where we take a look at the NFL Week 8 DraftKings FanDuel slate from a tournament perspective. What's going to win us the Millie this week? With me, as always, I got Josiah, a.k.a. Bob226, smashing it all season. What's going on, Bob?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Happy to be here.
Hell yeah. And of course, Burns, the numbers whiz himself, the engineer of Millie Maker wins. I love it. I love your approach to DFS. So let's get right into this slate because it is bananas out there. Players dropping like flies, quarterbacks out, mysteries still happening. Ryan Tannehill, will he play or won't he? We've got Deebo Samuel just came out with he's out. Late week, Zeke Elliott, he's out. Tony Pollard, all in. Right?
It's a fun week, man.
Another injury, supposed, not really, who cares, but it led to something. Chuba Hubbard out. Your beloved Carolina Panthers giving my boy Donta Foreman a shot at the full blast role. That's going to be interesting. A little pay down option at running back. Mm-hmm. It's so much of that. A lot of interesting salary savers at the running back position and at the quarterback position. You ready for this? Malik Willis. What do we do about Malik? Will Tannehill play? Don't know. Malik's a running quarterback. Sam Ehlinger. So we've got a lot of pay down options that allow us to get to the studs. And the stud zone is very attractive this week with, for me, it's Tyreek Hill at wide receiver, amazing pay up option. Derrick Henry at running back, potentially a guy who has never done anything but absolutely smash against the Texans like it's his favorite place to play. So, my boy, Kevin Bach, what's up, my man? So that is the backdrop for this one. And let's now jump into some of these position groups and let's talk about games. And really, Burns, I'm going to throw this to you because there's a couple of situations that are unusual at the quarterback position this week. And let's throw the DFS Army chalkboard up there. Sam Ehlinger is not up there right now, which is interesting for me because it's kind of this, I guess there's an idea that with all the running back value, maybe people won't need to pay down at quarterback. We'll see how that goes. I have a lot to say about that scenario, but how are you seeing, actually, Burns, I'll throw it over to you. How are you seeing that scenario? So can Sam Ehlinger at 4K lead us to a tournament win, or is he strictly more of like a cash guy, take the value and figure it out elsewhere?
For me, he's someone that is a very intriguing play this week because, he is the barest of all minimums that he can be on in DraftKings, right? $4,000. It's crazy. What does that allow you to do, right? If you really start to look at it, it allows you to pay up at the wide receiver position, and it also allows you to pay up at the running back position, which is ideal this week. I mean, it's an awesome dichotomy that allows you to be like, oh man, I can get a top end wide receiver like Justin Jefferson, who's in a smash spot this week, and also I can get King Henry in there in a smash spot. It's an interesting play. I like it. I really do like it. And I like it with something that could be not looked at as a way to do it. And how I always try to start my stacks with his top wide receiver, of course, right? Mm-hmm. Pittman Jr., very nice stack with him. But I also like running it with and getting all of the touchdowns in the game and getting JT in there as well. So that you can do with this stack. I don't
think he'll throw a touchdown pass to Taylor, but I have no problem mixing it in because if you look at them almost as a pairing, like a block pairing for salary, and just say, hey, Taylor's 8K, this guy's 4K, so it's 12,000 in salary I'm going to spend, which means I need 48 fantasy points spread out amongst these two. Where do I get them? Well, I don't know, maybe the quarterback gets you 20 and the running back gets you 25. And then it's like, all right, that kind of got there, or 28, that kind of thing. So if you look at them almost like a single player block, then yeah, we just need to get to 48. A quarterback can get you 20, a running back get you 28. We could see that running back at 35 and the quarterback at 16, and it also works.
Yeah, and for him, all he needs is 16 to 18 in that range, right, to make tournament value. So even at the Millie Maker level, like massive contests like that, if he gets you 19, 20, that's gravy, man. That's
kind of what I'm thinking. I'll tell you guys how I have this broken down in my mind for Ehlinger, because I think he is this slate is almost to play him or not to play him, right? So yep. I wanted to cover the to play him component of it, just like in this first part of the breakdown, because it's such a critical aspect of the slate, right? So to play him, here's the benefits, right? Let's talk about the worst case and the best case and the most likely case. What's the worst that happens? 4K DraftKings, 6K FanDuel. He's less good on FanDuel because 6K is not that far off from some of the other players that you might like. But on DraftKings at 4K, here's the way I see it. What's the worst thing that happens? Jonathan Taylor dominates the game. They don't do that much with Ehlinger. He doesn't run a ton. He runs a little bit because that's his game. He will not go through a game and not run for 30, 40 yards. He'll probably get you like 30 yards, let's say. Worst case. Throws for 200, no touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great situation. Gets you 9 fantasy points. That's the worst. 9. That's almost 3x right there. But nonetheless, he just was shit, absolute shit in the game, right? So, okay. Did he kill me? Not so much. Like in my cash line, I'm like, all right, you got me 10. Okay.
Yep.
It wasn't that bad. Now let's go to the expected, right? What do I think is going to happen? No. Do I think he's going to score 27? No. What I think is probably most likely is he throws for, 230 yards. Maybe he throws for a touchdown or runs for 1 and gets you some rushing yardage, 16, 17 fantasy points on the day. All right. You know what? That's a fucking 4+ X on his salary. He is keeping you on pace to win a tournament. So the most likely scenario, his mean expectation is more than 4x. He's helping you to a 220 point score, which has a shot at taking down even a Millie Maker size tournament, but definitely plenty of ammunition to help you take down any sort of 1,500 entrant style contest.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
totally agree with you.
There's scenario 3, though. We just talked about the most likely, and we talked about least. Now, what's the outlier?
That ceiling game, man.
He has a good game. He runs for a touchdown. He throws for 1. He gets you 25. Now, I don't even have in my mix of shit that could happen that this guy's getting me 30 plus. That's not even in the mix. Yeah. But at 22, 23, which is okay. All right, Skate. Okay. Nice game from Sam. We've seen it from PJ Walker. It's like not going to blow your mind that a crappy quarterback kind of gets you a 22. Well, now we're talking 5-6x salary. We're talking pace for a 250 plus fantasy score. And the salary savings allows you to have a really different looking lineup than everybody else who doesn't use Ehlinger. It's that simple. Whatever your lineup looks like, it's not going to look anything like anybody who uses a 6K plus guy because you had 2 extra 1,000 to spend. Let's say the 6K guys all get 30s. But this guy gets a 23. Guess what? The 6K guys aren't getting 30s. They're probably none of them will, by the way, but one of them might. So
one or two.
Yeah, you might get. Listen, Tua's hanging around, but we'll cover those guys, and we're going to cover our ass with those guys as well. But if you think about it, it's really hard. The only version of the Ehlinger game that fucks you over bad is the one where he gets like a 9 or 10. And even that's at the end of the world. You're probably not winning the tournament, but you might still cash. Yeah. It's not completely horrific. And it's probably not that different from, one of these games where you pay 6K for a guy and he only gets you 18. And you're like, all right, they only got me 18.
So question for you too. If Ellinger starts to become popular. He starts to get chalky, like super chalky. At that point, do you guys start to consider not playing him?
I would, except for the fact that it looks like it's going the opposite way.
Yeah.
And see, the Twitter bros, the DFS bros, and the tout bros are all out there like, oh, you can't play this one. You know, it's going to go the opposite way.
Cash only. I've seen that a lot.
Cash only. You can't play him. Oh, he can't be stacked. That means his ownership will not be that high. So the advantage, so what's the worst that happened? If he doesn't get us 20, we're probably not winning the Millie Maker.
Yep.
But if he does get us 20 plus, he's probably the Millie Maker nuts quarterback. Now there are 12 quarterbacks to choose from, maybe 7 or 8 viable ones. If it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 viable quarterbacks on the slate.
You had Jimmy G in there?
No,
Okay.
He's not a viable quarterback.
I thought you went over top of him and said, yeah.
That's that. No, Jimmy G is not a viable quarterback. The viable quarterbacks for me are Hurts, Murray, Tua, Cousins, Geno, Daniel Jones, Andy Dalton for shits and gigs, and then Ellinger, and maybe Malik Willis if he plays.
Is Dalton the guaranteed starter?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you mention Goff in there? Sorry if I missed it.
I did not mention Goff.
He's the only one I would add to that.
Yeah, you know what? That's why I'm on the show, because you fucking think of a name that, I love that game. I'm just so on
that's
the
why.
side of it. All right, so
I love Tua more than Goff, but
yeah,
I feel like you have to have both sides of that game.
You're right. You're absolutely right. You're correct. I can't argue with that. Goff probably needs to be on the list, as disgusting as that is. But I mean, come on, Ellinger is outscoring Goff. That's what I'm saying. Like, probably will. So, but even if he doesn't, this is important to me, because I want to get my sort of thoughts on this really across as clearly as I can, not just to our, but everybody's watching this. Like, what's the downside of Sam Ellinger at 4K? Even a bad game, you got to understand, it's like paying down for a $2,500 tight end, right? Yeah, I get it. The $4,500 guy put up an 18, and all right, but if you're 2,500, you're competing in a different zone, and you don't have to score as many points to keep your lineup in pace when you pay down. So would I play him in single entry? Hell yeah. This would be my guy. Like, my default play is going to be, my first guy is going to be Sam. I'll make a lineup around that. So when I'm attacking my 3 max, I'm going to make a Sam lineup. Then I'm going to go to my other guys I really like, not the other names that are kind of shitty, but like when I'm doing my entries in the spy or the play at the 150, for example, that has 1,000 or 700. Those are the contests that I focus on the most. Like a 750 entrant higher dollar contest. Yeah, I'm going to do an Ellinger lineup, maybe a second one, and then I'll go and I'll do a Tua lineup. And then I'll do maybe like Tua's number 2 on my list. Love him. I might make Tua lineups. Double Tua. Right? I'm going to handcraft it. Then I'm going to go and maybe, figure out one of the other guys that I kind of like. And all right, am I going to do a Jalen Hurts pay up? You know what Jalen Hurts needs to do to beat Sam Ellinger this week?
A lot.
Well, he's got to double score because he's more than double the salary.
He's got to get 36 to 40, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You know how many times Tua has been in the 36 range to 40 this year? I mean, he's only sniffed that once. I love Hurts, but he's only sniffed like 30 plus once. He's a guy who's getting us 24 to 27 most weeks. It's not enough. He's thousands above the next guy. Like, he's literally 2,000 above the next guy, or unless you want to count Kyler Murray he's in the weird zone. Kyler Murray. So
we don't, as you know, we don't get a lot of weeks like this, like where we get a $4,000 guy. It's funny. Last week you were talking about, I miss back when guys used to be 3K, because that used to be even freaking better. Then we could really go high on it. But since we don't get the situation a lot, would it make sense to really just limit our quarterback pool in large field GPPs and go super high on Ellinger? Is that what you guys are thinking? That's what I'm thinking, but am I crazy here? Are we crazy? Are we all on the same page?
I'm exactly on board with that. I'm going to go much heavier, and I want to hear Burns' take, because Burns has got more of a macro view of the general approach to taking down tournaments. But for me, I don't do this every week. Last week was a real spread. I didn't feel great about any quarterback individually. It's just spread it out, just spread it around.
But you went heavy on your running backs, and that's why you did well.
I went 100% on Jacobs and Walker, because I always need to go very heavy on something. This week is special because I feel we can go very heavy on a bunch of spots, and that's how you take a tournament down. That's how you win these. You don't win by spreading it out, unless you're Statsational, who crushes it. Just in fairness, he wins all the time.
Every sport, everything.
He's always winning. By the way, Statsational, like I'm in a Slack with him where he's just like, yeah, dude, I'm another 200K, and I'm like, again, and like 2 days later, he's like, oh, I only got 50K tonight. I'm like,
does money mean anything to you, man, at this point?
What's that?
So does money mean anything to him at this point? Like,
he doesn't.
He's desensitized to it.
I'm crying when I win. Yeah, I'm like, I have tears coming. I'm like, I can't believe it's finally.
Still sweating a little bit, heart still beating.
Sweating, like I get a little tear of happiness, and John is just like, no, it took down 200K. It was no big deal. Like his reaction is the same as when I make a joke on the game plan, and he just stands there and he stares at me blankly as if he didn't hear it. So, who knows? But let's talk about. So, yes, I will go heavier. I'll have fewer, and I'll have sprinkles. I'm going to sprinkle in a little Dalton, just because what if he does it again? And like, what if lightning strikes twice? I got to do it, right? But it's like a 4%er for me. It's not. I don't want to have a lot of my day riding on Andy Dalton. I don't really want to have a lot of my day riding on anybody other than these cheaper guys or 2 or 3. But let's get into the other games, because we talk about Erlinger, and he massively just opens up a unique lineup construction that will look total. That's how you win tournaments. It will look totally different. And one last thing, Burns, if we had to sign an odd, like let's say we had to sign a probability, we have the bad game, we have the most likely scenario, the 15 to 18, and then we have the outlier 19 to 25. What likelihood would you assign to those scenarios? Are we just going bell curve distribution, standard deviations?
Yeah. Oh man, that's so difficult because I haven't seen them all year.
Well, that's the problem, right? We have no clue what's going to happen.
I honestly, I think he hits the bell curve right in the middle. I think he's going to have about a 16 to 18 range game. Now, that's just how I'm thinking of it. That's probably why I only have. He'll probably be one of my top guys this week, but he won't be like the elite guy that I'm attacking this week, at the quarterback position.
So you'll hold less than 15% personally?
No, he'll be up around 25, 30%, but I'll have a lot more of another guy that I really like this week. And we've already pretty much touched base on him. I just think he's in a great spot. I just love the game all around. My only thing with the indie game this week is that it's kind of on the low side for the point total. I think it's about, 42.5 right now. Is that about right?
Yeah, it's pretty low. To compile what you're saying, the big concern for me with Ellinger, and I want to ignore it, but it is an elephant in the room, is listen, Jonathan Taylor's on that team, and that's a dominant running back that can take over and really limit what the quarterback does. So you have to be aware that Jonathan Taylor's on that team, and he could do a lot.
That's right.
And that game isn't sexy at all from a total production perspective. Alex, just to cover what you're asking here with the 3 Ellinger lineups, I wouldn't do that. If you're going to run just a 3 max, 1, 2, 3, what I like to call like your 3 builds, do 2, but then swap 1 for this other quarterback that we're going to bring up in a minute, who's in such a great spot that like you will be pissed at yourself if you don't have this, if it goes off to it. So I'm assuming that's what we're talking about. So let's go around the room here. So Josiah, I'm assuming your next QB and Burns, like our favorite is going to be Tua this week.
Yeah. For me, it's Goff and Tua. Like those are my 2 other guys.
Okay.
And the reason why I want it, just like you said, Burns, like I want it at least like 20-25% exposure to Ellinger is because, like what David mentioned, I want some stacks of like Pearson there, Campbell. I want some different variations of it, just because it would. We've seen like Campbell and Pierce have those ceiling games at this point where it wouldn't come as a complete surprise. So I definitely want at least some exposure to it, and even Ellinger by himself, I'll be fine with that as
Take
well.
Take a look at the domination station optimizer sorted by fantasy points per dollar. So this is your value sort,
Yeah.
right? I always sort it like this. And guys, if you're using DFS Army tools and you're not sorting, you're just doing this wrong. So just make sure that you're doing that. Right here, this button here sorts by fantasy points per dollar. And you can see, I mean, with the 17, look at the projection. If you're just going by the numbers, if you're a blind numbers person, every single lineup is going to have Sam Ellinger in it.
Yeah.
Even Marcus Mariota showing up. Get him out of there, right? But it's going to be Ellinger. 4x salary if he hits the mean projection, guys. That is just ridiculous. But the second name right here is Tua, and he's really got massive upside. So I love that scenario as well. Burns, Tua / Goff, but Tua for you. I don't see Burns playing Goff.
Yeah, I really like Tua this week. I'm trying to roll him into all my 5-entry King of the Beaches. I'm also looking at him in 3-entry max, and I've been toying with him in actual single-entry, high-dollar single-entry plays. Mm-hmm. And the way I'm attacking him in these kind of contests is I am not attacking him with just one wide receiver. I'm doubling it up, or I'm putting in the tight end and I'm running it back. I just think there's way too much goodness there. And if he has that Baltimore weekend, week 2 again, you're talking about a difference maker at the QB position. But he's going to bring Tyreek, and he's going to bring Gesicki, and he's going to bring Jalen Waddle along with him. So, but we got Mostert too. He's got good value this week as well in the same game.
Are you okay with Mostert and Tua as a part of that stack? Are you against it? Are you okay with it? I mean, Mostert caught a touchdown last week.
He did.
Yeah. I don't know, Bob, you can go, or Josiah, you can go. But
something that I do like Mostert. Humble brag. I have a good bit of Mostert in my best balls, which is nice.
That was such a great best ball.
Yeah,
I hope you have Edmonds and Mostert.
Like last pick Mostert.
Yes.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Lions defense has been getting beat in every which way, like you turn. And that's why it makes it a little bit scarier to play Tua in some degree with Mostert, just because I don't think they're going to have to toss it to Mostert and then he'll run it in. I think they can just run it in with Mostert and then they'll be fine. But I'll have exposure to both sides of it, but I'm not going to pair Mostert with Tua here. He had 2 receptions last week too. It's just that's a bit of a
it's not a need. My biggest issue, because Burns, you said something that I agree with, and Josiah, I would imagine you're on the same tip. I do like Tua with Tua, right? I like the double stack with Tua, except at some point it's like, there aren't that many players. It's just 3 names at this point. It's Gesicki, it's Tyreek, and Waddle. And for me, Tyreek is a must. So like Tyreek is in the stack already. So it's just I'm just gonna kind of go back and forth from Waddle or Gesicki, or is there some other name that we haven't thought of? And the only one is Mostert. I don't even know who the WR3 is. I think it's Trent Sherfield or something.
Yeah, that's the other one that's starting to pop. He's
Trent
starting to pop.
Okay.
Yeah, in the DS, when I did my first initial runs with nothing, I just run it.
That was a stack of 2, though. You're forcing 2, so that's why I was picking him up.
Actually, it just came in naturally. I never forced the stack in. It was just a natural thing. And so Trent Sherfield came into play in natural stacks with Tua, and he plus.
That's why.
Yeah, it was a +2.
He was looking for some value.
Yeah, it was definitely looking for value, and it was always defaulting to Tyreek the Freak. So
it has to be Tyreek. If you take a look at if you just look at the offense participation numbers, it's just significantly higher for Tyreek compared to Waddle. I love Waddle. Waddle's great. And I actually think that Waddle smashing is a much better indicator of Tua having the smash game than Tyreek. We've seen it over time and time again that the metrics show that WR2 position is where the is much more correlated with the quarterback than WR1 is from a predictive point of view. Like WR2 smashing is much more predictive of a quarterback smash game. The WR1 always has a pretty good game, or he should. It's expected. Like it's the WR2 doing it that really causes the quarterback to have a ceiling game.
Well, Waddle's going up against Okudah, and Okudah's the best. He's their best corner on Detroit's staff. So Tyreek's going against Omani. I mean, he's not that good. So
I mean, we just have to throw one other little factoid out there: is that Detroit is in man coverage most of the time, and that is like music to Tyreek Hill's ears. You cannot man cover this man. He has destroyed this type of coverage for his career. It's not even funny.
Oh,
this is the worst case scenario. He's
like my love child for the week this week.
I mean, it's so good. So there's so many. So I've got essentially Tyreek Hill as very close to a core play, for me.
I'm in agreement with you 100%.
Yeah. And Gesicki 7 targets the last 2 weeks, Josiah.
Like you have to keep all these guys in your player pool, and you have to stack Tua with all of these guys in different variations of it. That's why my quarterback player pool has to be smaller this week, because I need to have more variations of these guys. Just the way it's going to work.
And there's just not that many good ones to target. So let's keep going through the I mean, it really does. It drops in value. And I can critique every one of these quarterbacks that we didn't just speak about, because we just talked about what I believe are the best 2 potential quarterbacks to use on the slate. But if I just sort by projected ownership, I'm going back to the Dom station. And I mean, I'll just go down the list. Derek Carr, really?
Again.
What the fuck is wrong with the DFS community? I love that there's something wrong with them. But nonetheless, what the fuck is wrong with the DFS community? Why is this guy always in lineups? Why is he always chalk? He never delivers.
Week 8, here we are.
I don't understand what's going on out there. Not only that, I read content from other places and they talk this guy up every week. And then, you know what's funny? I hear people get on the show and they're like, no, DFS touts, they tout people, but they never play them. And I think that those people who are touting this guy are doing it. Maybe they are doing it to just raise ownership and screw the field. What is going on with it? Let me show you something.
This has been going on for weeks, man.
This has been going on for years.
I understood it week 1 and I understood it week 2 because Devontae Adams is in town. Like, of course, Derek Carr is going to become a new man, but we're 8 weeks in at this point. Like,
by the way, I don't care if he has a good week this week. I already feel
now. You know
fully justified in telling everybody to never start this guy. I don't care if he goes off for 30 this week. Like, the dude is 13. This is Ellinger. You don't think Ellinger's going to get you? 17, 11. These, I don't even know. He finds ways not to produce. 18, 16. What are you doing? This is Baker Mayfield. Why would you start him in DFS?
Don't say that.
I started Baker Mayfield before.
What?
Yeah. No.
In DFS, it did. And guess what? You won me a seat in the King of the Beach last year.
Get out of it. I remember that one game. You know what? I do remember he had a little stretch of 2 games. Listen, that's fine. And one of these weeks, Derek Carr will have a nice... He's number 2 on the chalkboard. This is a guy who you should maybe play like as a crazy, if he's completely unowned, and it's like he could go off like Baker Mayfield did for you that one game. But this isn't somebody that you should be playing as chalk.
He's a fade.
Where's the smash or pass, man? That's the guy you put on smash or pass, and you say, pass. It's the easiest pass you're ever going to see.
Yep.
Just pass. What's going to happen? What can he do? What if he puts up 24 and he has his best game of the year? All right.
Still only 4x. And if Ellinger gets to 20,
you're dead.
Greater, all the cars that are at 24 are gone. I mean, it's like later, see you later.
What are they doing? All right, listen, keep it up. Keep it up. I don't care. By the way, usually when I go off on somebody, they end up smashing that way, or it feels like that way to me because of like the way that, you know, karma works. Yeah. And maybe this is his week, but I'm very confident. I said this, you know, this is like the showdown breakdown I did last week when Dalton went off, and I was like, dude, if Dalton goes off, me and BobbyWow were like, if he goes off, we're just going to take the L, right? It's fine. Yeah. And he went off, and we took our L. But, you know, that shit was right like 99% of the time until, you know, that one pocket guy just, I don't know what the hell he did, right? But that's it. We took our L, and we're like, all right, but I'm still not going to play pocket quarterbacks at captain on showdowns, and fuck you. You don't like me? Don't watch the show. I don't care.
Speaking of takes, what are you guys doing with Jalen Hurts? Like, he's like the next chalky, highly projected quarterback that we haven't really talked a lot about. We talked a little bit earlier this week. I'll go ahead and say, for me, ultimately, I've decided to not play him and play Miles Sanders. That's my risk that I'm taking this week, and just going with the other quarterbacks we've mentioned already.
Burns, how do you feel about the non-competitive game situation for a player like Hurts? And we don't think this is going to be a competitive game.
No, it's not going to be a competitive game. It's a very tricky situation for Hurts. Can he bring two wide receivers with him in this game? I don't think so. I built a lineup with it, and I don't like it, and I'm going to change it because it has both AJ Brown and who did I use? Devonta. No. Yep. Yeah. So it doesn't look good. Because you have to pay down significantly at the wide receiver position, and I just don't like it. So I don't really like that he's that high owned with that large of a spread. It's starting to worry me a bit.
I could also say the team has shown a tendency to shut him down in the second half of games when they take an early lead. So they have not plowed the points on to where, you know, you're counting on the 35 plus. You really need 35 plus. Understand what you need from an 8K Hurts. He is a solid 2,000 above almost all of the QBs, and he's he's double the price of the cheapest QB on the slate, who we all like. I like him a lot, right? Erlinger. So number one, if Erlinger gets 18, this guy needs to get you 36.
Yep.
In a non-competitive game environment where they're learning to lean on the running back, Sanders, and they're doing more with Sanders than they've done before. I think it's super risky to pay all the way up for Hurts in any format. As a matter of fact, I'll say this right here and right now. In cash, you are safer paying down for Sam Ehlinger than you are for paying up for Jalen Hurts. Because what's the worst that happens with Sam? 10? Okay. That's what I'm saying. All right. I'll take it. You'll be okay. It's like paying down a tight end. You Foster Moreau is in your lineup. You got you 6. All right. Didn't kill me. I still cashed, and it was fine. Nothing bad happened. So I love that stat that Atomic Fish just pulled out. So this just like, how much money have I saved people with my Derek Carr hate over the last few years? This guy has not passed 25 since 2019, and he's a top chalk quarterback every week. It's like it never ends. It's the gift that keeps on. This is almost a cheat code. Don't play Derek Carr as a cheat code. That's a cheat code.
I disagree. The thing with Jalen Hurts, too, that I'll mention is just that you basically need Jalen Hurts to run in 2 touchdowns for him to hit his ceiling game over Ehlinger. And that's ultimately when I decided to go the Miles Sanders route over Jalen Hurts. Just one of those decisions.
I don't love the stack options with Jalen Hurts all that much.
It's too pricey this week.
It's so hard. It really is hard.
AJ Brown, these are all fine for like large field GPP in a sense. Like AJ Brown is a large field GPP guy because you know he has that 35 plus in him. But like my boy only gets 8 targets a game. It's not that easy to get there when your volume just is not the same as the other guys who are in that salary range. Like basically AJ Brown and Tyreek Hill are the same price, but Tyreek Hill is 12 plus targets most weeks, and and AJ Brown is 8 or less. So, I mean, that's risky. This guy's getting 50% more targets than that guy for the same price. Like,
Yeah. And Hurts is 2,000 more than Tua. It's just, it makes for some really ugly lines. But like you said,
it doesn't stand out as wise spending. You can get the biggest score on the slate from Hurts, and he will not be in the nuts lineup because of how much more he costs than every other wide receiver. And Atomic Fish is right. I think a big reason that you might want to play Hurts is because, like, man, if he just did 2 halves of a game, he really would be scoring 38 points a game. It's in him. It's in there. That 38 pointer is coming at some point, but I don't know if this is the game for it. It could be, but I think if you
we saw him put up points and keep putting up points against the Vikings earlier this year. So it's possible. We're not saying it's impossible. It's just not what we're doing.
It's in there.
But it is tough to pair like a Goddard with him because Goddard's matchup is he's overpriced. Yes, on DK, but his matchup isn't that good either. Like Pittsburgh's actually pretty decent against tight ends. So.
One of my rules of thumb for determining if I want to mess with that quarterback is, do I actually like the stack partners as standalone plays? Mm-hmm. Would I play them on their own if stacking wasn't a thing? And that is not the case for me with the Eagles pass catchers. I would not play AJ Brown as a standalone. I'm not really on Devonta Smith. For his, I like him, but I'm not specifically trying to play. Like, there are other guys better than Devonta Smith for the same salary level that are definitely going to get way more targets. Not to say they will outscore him. We don't know those things, but they will get more targets, and that's the best that we can do, especially on DraftKings, where we have some predictable metrics. We might as well work on DraftKings with things that are predictable, and then do the crazy, I just need touchdowns YOLO thing on FanDuel, where it doesn't really matter what your metrics are. This guy gets a touchdown. If he doesn't, he's not going to, he's not getting there anyway. So it doesn't matter.
I have one more game that I'm really kind of interested in. I mean, 2, but 1. I do like the Minnesota-Arizona game, though. I think it's got some appeal there. The reason why I actually like both sides of this game is that Nuke is back, and Nuke went off, and now Kyler's got his main man back from suspension. So his main man really wasn't Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown. So his main man is now back. I like him. He'll be in my player pool. And I really like the other side of the ball too. I really like the Minnesota side. I think it's, Justin Jefferson pairing him up with Cousins. And if you can get in Thielen in there, great. But I also really like the tight end in this matchup with Irv Smith. I think the matchup is prime. He's home. He's favored. It's just dynamics that I really like in this game. And you can do a Cousins, Jefferson, Irv Smith, bring back with Nuke and be great. Set up there.
I've been meaning specifically to ask you about this game, Burns. So I'm glad that you're talking about it. I want to ask you about Justin Jefferson's matchup and the Cardinals' propensity to limit scoring to opposing WR1s in particular. Talk to me about the cornerback wide receiver matchup with Nuke. Are you worried about it? And should we be looking at WR2/tight end? The whole reason tight ends do well against the Cardinals is because they limit perimeter wide receivers like Justin Jefferson. But then again, Justin Jefferson is better than good coverage, so maybe it doesn't matter. How do you see this one going down in terms of the Justin Jefferson coverage, the WR1 being muted by that team in general?
So I really like Jefferson. I think he has a pretty good matchup against Marco Wilson. It's not the best matchup
on that team.
They got Marco. Let's see, Marco Wilson. They got Byron Murphy and Antonio Hamilton for Arizona DBs. I'll check out Minnesota's. Minnesota's Cameron Dantzler, Chandon Sullivan, and Patrick Peterson. Patrick Peterson's going to be on Rondale Moore. He's pretty much going to take him out of the game.
I don't think it's going to go that way, Burns.
You don't think so? You think they're going to put Peterson on?
Yes, they will.
Okay. Well, if that happens, if they put Peterson on Nuke, I mean, I don't know. Nuke is so good, man.
Yeah.
Why would you put Peterson? Why would you put Peterson on Rondell Moore? They're not stupid.
Yeah, let me see. He's operating 100% on the left side of the field, which is the right side for
maybe they
for
will.
the wide receiver.
Maybe you're right.
He doesn't shadow anymore. So Patrick Peterson's a non-shadow corner like he used to be in the heyday where he was awesome. He's not that great, but he's still going to be covering in accordance to what I see Rondell Moore. Now, if things change, but Justin Jefferson is, or not Justin Jefferson, Nuke is a difference maker at the wide receiver position. When he is money, the guy is a difference maker.
Basically, you could visually see that the presence of Nuke in the lineup last week almost settles down Kyler Murray in a way that it wasn't happening most of the season. So
yeah,
I totally agree with you. Like, it is a visual on tape noticeable difference. Although there are some negatives in the numbers to Nuke, like for example, literally no yak.
Right.
He is not getting hit in stride because of the limitations of Kyler Murray as a quarterback, not because of Nuke limitations at all. It's just Kyler Murray's is not that good. And so the problem is he never hits him in stride. It's always, it's curls, and he never gets, there's no yak.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's a low A dot and no yak, but he does settle Kyler down. I don't know if he's got massive upside. He
does. And I really don't like the running backs in this game. So that's another reason why I like the quarterbacks and the wide receivers, even the tight end. Minnesota. I'm not really high on Ertz this week. I know he's been getting the targets, but I just don't like. High. Yeah, I don't like the price. I don't like the fact that he's not favored in this game. That has a big play for me.
My issue is
metrics there.
Ertz has been a no yak, no touchdowns guy. Also, it's been all volume, and Nuke is sucking up that volume.
Yep. He only saw 4 targets last week, and that it was only one game, so I could change. But that target share that Nuke's taking is Hopkins is taking. I never say Nuke. That wasn't my word. That Hopkins is taking is wild.
I'm a Zach Ertz guy in the sense that I have him on a lot of my fantasy teams. I have him on a lot of my dynasty teams. And I know that you guys are like, who cares? But you live and die with the player, and you notice their tendencies when you have them on your team. And I don't care how much you look at the stats. When you have got a guy in your dynasty for years, you're just familiar with their patterns.
Yeah.
And Ertz needs a lot of volume. It doesn't work as well with just Nuke in there. He needs the 8-9 targets. He is not putting up big points per target. And that combined with the price hike to $5K on DraftKings, for example, and the no real touchdowns that he's getting for FanDuel, it just kind of makes it not that great of a play. You know what? Murray would have to absolutely smash and go nuts and do stuff he hasn't done all year to pull Ertz up with him, because Nuke will get 10 plus targets in a game like this. I want to address Mateo here, my man. It's Olave all day.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Olave with the rock. Olave is a great play. He's my favorite play at that price point on the slate in general. But yeah, I mean, if I'm playing Dalton, I'm definitely playing Olave with him.
You can add Kamara in there too.
Yeah, Kamara also, but Olave is the primary. Kamara is a secondary. You could put Juwan Johnson in there, some of those other secondaries, but Olave is the primary for me. All right, so Burns, you said there was a couple, and Josiah, you guys said there was a couple of other games to consider. So we've gone over this Lions Dolphins game, which is, I believe, all three of our favorite game environment.
Yeah. The only thing we didn't do in that game is we didn't talk about Goff enough. I know he hasn't been great recently, and I know that's why everyone's pretty low on him. Also, he's not a favorite, so I think that's the main reason why Burns isn't on him. And I don't know, like I really thought more people were going to be on him this week, but they're back at home, they're in a dome. Miami hasn't been that strong defensively. They have a lot of games to go back and forth. St. Brown should be back. He practiced today. Swift practiced today. Should be back.
They will both be back.
I love Swift and Amon this week. They're great plays this week.
Goff. Yeah. So with Goff, you're pairing him with Amon-Ra.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then another. So the real reason I'm not on Goff is just because I'll just play Tua.
Yeah,
I feel like if Tua is going off, if Goff is going off, so is Tua.
Yeah.
Or Geno went off and Goff went off. You wound up needing Goff, I believe, for the nuts. But it's like they both did really good. They both did really well. It's just you needed the other guy. Yeah. Goff being the same price as Tua is concerning because I like Tua more. So it lowers the Goff love. But listen, I'm not going to ignore a Josiah lean.
No, I like the call.
Been nailing him every week on this thing. So like, you gave us Goff the first time. But it went crazy.
No, now it's over. No, we brought it back. I got it right the first time. It's done. Don't play.
You got it right the first time. I don't want to ignore Josiah lean. But is there another game? So I mean, I'm not playing Carr. That game has a high total, but I don't give a shit. We got the Red Rocket in this one if we want to kind of get a little bit of exposure to that game. You look kind of through the rest of the slate. I'm not touching anybody from this 49ers. Rams. I don't think I'm touching anybody in the whole game. I don't know if there's any one player that I'd be interested in. Even Cooper Kupp this week. Here we go.
Yeah, this is the only other game that could be interesting. Is like which one's really bad. Like which one of us really aren't good. Who's the pretender?
That's the other game I was talking about, Kev. Is Seattle and the Giants.
It's so sketchy. I go back and forth on what I'm thinking about that game. To be honest with you, where. Do I really like Geno with Kenny Walker on the team? Man, Geno is not going to need to throw as much. There's no DK Metcalf. I don't know. I feel like I don't like him that much against a really, really well, a Giants defense that's playing really well. And, they are limiting opposing wide receivers to the least. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're opposing, they're number one in fantasy points, not allowed to opposing wide receivers or defended against opposing wide receivers this season. QBs are not doing well. All of the important metrics against the Giants are down. Like you score fewer than average fantasy points when you face the Giants. The flip side, you score a lot more fantasy points than usual when facing Seattle.
Yeah, This is kind of going against my one rule. I will have Danny Dimes in my.
There's the underdog quarterback.
So I think Danny Dimes is in a great spot in this one. It's really hard to pair him up with his wide receivers because the wide receivers are just they're okay.
It's not a good scene at wide receiver. There's no question.
But I like Saquon. And I love Saquon this week. I think it's just a great week for him on the road. They're going to have to use him on the road in this game. And I think Danny Dimes with him, and then you bring it. And, you could go Robinson or you could go Slayton. So just pick your poison on the wide receiver, right?
Yeah, those are the two. I would stay away from Rick James at this point.
Yeah.
Either one of those two is fine. I think even Saquon Barkley is an acceptable pairing with Daniel Jones. Won't bother me.
And Robinson has the best matchup out of the slot against Seattle. So
yeah,
and they got rid of Kadarius Toney this week, so none of that BS anymore.
Didn't matter, but yeah, Kadarius Toney could turn it around though. By the way, he was just
allegedly. That's what everyone keeps saying.
No, listen,
he went to the best position. He went to the best spot.
Yeah,
I mean, Kansas City could turn him around.
Listen,
I think he'll do fine. I think he'll be just as the other receivers they have. I'm not too. He's gonna be the next Tyreek Hill. I don't know. People are a little bit too high on him for me. I think we're gonna.
He's got a similar build. He's kind of got a similar build to Tyreek. He's shifty like Tyreek was.
Yeah.
The only problem is Tyreek's hands are so much better than Kadarius Toney's hands.
We haven't seen it. I think Tyreek's route running is what's better. I haven't necessarily seen good or bad hands from Kadarius because he only played like once. But he's probably a douche in real life. Dable did not like his attitude. And you know what? I know I've been like in the like authority, like fuck you, I'm not listening to authority, position before in my lifetime. And there's a stubbornness that you need a fresh scene. And you're not going to fuck with Pat Mahomes. Number one, every player that plays with Pat Mahomes I'm going to use a word here that I don't use frequently.
Uh-oh.
Reveres him. Yeah. They revere this man. He is beloved. He's not Brady is feared. Mahomes is loved and respected. So at least I think so. Listen, I'm not there, but I think
you're probably right.
That's what I hear. So even if you're an ego guy, Mahomes says, bro, and then you're like, okay, because I love you so much. Like it's just like that. It is what it is. Listen, I'm just keeping it real. All right. Where are we? So we really went over, if I'm targeting this game, I like to bring back with Kenny Walker. I like to bring back, somebody mentioned Marquise Goodwin. Any one of the players, like if we're doing a Daniel Jones lineup, I'm really good with anybody from Seattle. Marquise Goodwin, fine. I'll take Tyler Lockett. I'll take Kenny Walker. All good. All right, so let's talk a little bit about running back this week, guys. Let's get into the running back position. We went over the games that we liked. And by the way, if I didn't mention a game, I'm touching it. So we I'm not playing Dak. I'm not playing, Mariota. I'm not playing
Fields.
I'm not playing.
Oh, by the way, BobbyWow will be back.
Yes.
He's just gone. He's doing some stuff with the family. He will be back. I'm sure we'll get questions about that later.
People need to get their priorities straight. DFS before family, always.
Hey,
get your priorities straight. All right.
I don't know about that.
Let's talk about.
Mine are always straight. My wife knows from like 5 a.m. to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Don't bother me.
Every day, not just Sundays. Every day. All right, let's talk running backs, guys. How am I going to do this? I'll bring up the chalkboard now. All right, we'll take the chalkboard. We'll take the chalkboard approach. So we'll look at the running back position this week and look at some of this interesting chalk up top. Tony Pollard, 44% owned. Rightfully. I love Tony Pollard. Mm-hmm. Been waiting for this. Could not ask for a better matchup. So I'm going to throw this over to Josiah, your GPP mindset, smash your pass thoughts. We talked about that before, but Tony Pollard.
I mean, my GPP mindset is that we literally do that. We smash or pass. This is when his ownership is projected to be as high as it is, around 50%. This isn't in theory, it could be a match the field if you're getting creative in different areas, but more than likely, this is an area you're either eating the chalk on Pollard or you're fading him. For me, I'm going to play him. I love this spot. I think it's a smash spot for him. I think we wanted Pollard to be in this spot for a long time. So of course I'm going to play it. Like I can't not play this one. But that's how you take it from a GPP standpoint.
Yeah, been waiting for it. Now, again, to explain the situation, Dallas are giant favorites, Burns. Giant favorites. There's no Zeke Elliott, and there is not a backup running back. Dallas only carried Pollard and Zeke because Zeke never got hurt. So whoever the backup is, it's going to be some running back that they elevate from the practice squad for this game. It's not anybody who's even a threat for any sort of touches. Tony Pollard is on a running team, a run-first team, and he's been waiting for the opportunity. Is this a can't-fail situation? Is there I know, I'm asking. Maybe there's no such thing, and that's perfectly fine. You say, no, Geek, there's no such thing as that, and how dare you even imply that could even exist?
I mean...
Yeah, I liked him a lot. I love him this week, don't get me wrong. But here's my thoughts. I will not be all in on him, only because he can fail. Yep. And there is that likelihood of being so highly owned and killing 50% of the million maker lineups. And I'm just like, okay, and I went maybe slightly under the field, if the field ends up being 50, 55% and I'm at 45 or 40%, I still have enough of him. Right. But I don't have,
for you, a fade is not, I'm not playing him. It's like, I'll just go below the field because that number is crazy.
Yeah, it's not a full fade for me. You full fade a guy at 45% ownership and he just blows up. Well, you might as well turn off the TV for the rest of the day. Go figure out life with your family because guess what? It's over. But it can also be the same way if he fails, where you're 55% with the field or higher and he fails. but I also like a lot of other running backs too. So
yeah, I think that's the big thing. If other running backs have to outperform Pollard to make him not worth it. And as long as if you have a good grip on who those other running backs might be, then I think it's fine to go under on him. If you don't, then you should probably reevaluate your strategy here.
There's a DFS strategy that just says, listen, if I'm in a milli maker and there's a guy who's going to be 40+% owned, I don't care who he is or what that matchup looks like, I'm fading it, right? And it's that simple. Like, I don't care. Oh, it's Christian McCaffrey against, it's prime Christian McCaffrey against Houston, and he's priced stone min by accident. I don't care. I'm fading. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is a DFS philosophy that just says, I'm just going to always fade that chalk. And hopefully over time, it's going to lead to plus EV outcomes. Great. But in and that is correct in the macro sense. But in the micro sense, like, you got to play this slate this week, and it's freaking Tony Pollard. He's on the Cowboys, and they're favored by 10, and they're up against the Bears, who can't really stop the run. And like, there's so many reasons why you're like, this really seems like a game where this dude is going to smash. And what's the worst thing that happens? He doesn't smash, but he still gets, 69 rushing yards and 63 receiving yards and 5 receptions and no touchdowns. And you're like, oh, he still got a 17. Then win your tournament.
Okay.
Like, his worst case scenario is like a 6-17. He didn't win you the tournament, but you're still pretty happy with the score. He got you 3x and he kept you on pace with whatever. So what are you going to do? I don't know. Now,
take a look at what's around him, right? Yep. And this is probably why everybody's defaulting to Pollard. Just take a look around him. I mean, you got just in his immediate range, right? Let's see. You're
talking Pierce?
We got Pollard at 6,100. We got Pierce at 6,300. Montgomery is a no-go because he's going up against Dallas.
No, but Eno Benjamin, no-go. Raheem Mostert, there are good plays that could outscore him.
You got Pierce, Walker at 6,500. You got Sanders at 6,600, and to round out the 6,000, you got Swift. I mean, in the immediate range, is Pollard a better play than Stevenson, Pierce, and Montgomery? Yes, he is, and that's why a lot of people are defaulting to Pollard. They're like, oh man, I got like 6,100, 6,300 left. Who do I play? Do I play Pollard, who's in a great matchup, or do I play Pierce? I
would argue that Raheem Mostert could outscore him. I would argue that every single one of those names that you just mentioned, every one of them could outscore him. I like a lot of these plays. I like them. By the way, my first look video from Monday night, Raheem Mostert was my chalk guy. Like, oh, you got to load up on this guy. Now the whole slate has changed. That's why first look is first look, and it like goes bananas every single week after the first look. But I did love, it was like Tua and Mostert. I'm like, I don't care. I got to play them together because Mostert's the best running back and Tua is the best quarterback on Monday night that I could find. But, as you put it that way, Burns, I do think there are alternatives to Pollard that could score just as many fantasy points. So Pollard, you lock into your cash lineup.
Oh, for sure.
He's in there.
I would almost probably lock him into my single entries too.
Yeah, and these guys are all right. I mean, it's you remember a couple weeks ago when I can't remember who was filling in, but it was just like it's a run first team. When you have the backup running back coming in for the run first team, I think it was Khalil Herbert I don't remember which week it was, but like, this team's going to run the football. Like, that's what they're going to do. They're going to feed the running back, and he'll get the volume. Will he do enough with it to win you the tournament this week? We'll see, but he's definitely a guy who's likely to get 20 touches, and he might get 25 touches or more.
Don't tempt us with a good time.
That would be a good time. All right, so let's talk the rest of the running back position because there's so many. So the running back position is really stacked. Wide receiver, everything's stacked. But let's go through a few of our favorites. Josiah, we'll start. We
can start at the top. Like, I think everybody's favorite is going to be Derrick Henry this week. Like, for the last few weeks, we realized, like, hey, the Texans are god awful at defending against the run, and Derrick Henry is one of the best running backs in the league. It's like a matchup made in heaven. The hard part is Derrick Henry is a little pricey, but if you're building the way that I'm building. It's not hard to get up to him. One thing that I'll mention is the pivot. The pivot isn't really Barkley. I think a lot of people will play Barkley and Henry together in a lot of lines. But Christian McCaffrey, I'll mention him. With Deebo Samuel's out, the targets, Ayuk isn't really a target guy. I think the targets would probably either go to George Kittle or Christian McCaffrey. So that puts a little bit of interest on him. And if he's as low as like 4 or 5% owned, you don't have to do a lot to get over on him. So things to think about and things that I'm going to do. I'm going to be higher on Christian McCaffrey than the field. And I also love Derrick Henry. Both can be true.
Henry is in the smash spot of a lifetime. He's scored 2 touchdowns and like 200 plus yards both times last season against these guys. The only concern I have is just the availability of Ryan Tannehill. He might not play. You might get a Malik Willis game, which could be less efficient. Might not be, but it could be less efficient.
Want to run more?
Perhaps. Yeah, it might not be. I'm just saying. I don't know. But Malik Willis could come out and absolutely suck. And if he's doing that, if he absolutely sucks, then the team's just not around the goal line. They're not scoring. Yeah. There's no threat of the pass. They can load up on the run. I mean, there are all these weird things that could happen that could slow down because it's a different quarterback, and it just introduces some mysteries, a little mysteriousness that we don't really know how to deal with. But yeah, I love Derrick Henry in this matchup. Christian McCaffrey, if I knew for a fact that he was going to be like a volume starter, I would have him. He's Christian McCaffrey. He's a better play most weeks than any other any other running back. Yeah, I'm super down with that. I like it more. Although you said something just before, last year when Deebo Samuel was out, it was George Kittle that was the biggest beneficiary of it by far. Remember in the back test streams that we did?
It was Kittle every time.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about the back test streams. And guys, if you're not listening, I actually want to show something else. But if you weren't there for it, one of the things we do in DFS Army, leading up to the new NFL season, we did this last year and we did this year, is we do what we call back test streams. And what we'll do, because I do back testing all the time with the optimizer to kind of work and hone in on my skills and the settings. But what I like to do ahead of a new season is I re-back test the entire previous season so I can remember all of the ups, the downs, the lessons, and doing it and replaying every single slate reminds you of all the ebbs and flows of the NFL. It just does. It's a great way to improve your game. Obviously, we had, members take down Millie Makers already this year. And a lot of them said, hey, it was just all that back testing that we did and honing in on Scotty Newman has taken down like 4 tournaments. By the way, on that, just using a process. And on that note, for everybody who's a DFS Army subscriber who is watching this, Scotty Newman is putting out a free roll this week to celebrate his 70K worth of wins in the month of September and October, in the last month or so. He's putting out $1,000 free roll. Make sure you're in our Discord for that link, and he's giving out $1,000. There's a DFS Army swag bag on that free roll, so it's just for DFS Army subscribers. Sorry, guys. For the rest of you,
he won't let me enter.
He won't let you in there. I'm getting.
He goes, oh man, it's just for members. I'm like,
he's doing a snap one too, I think. But this one's for members. And if you're not subscribed to DFS Army right now, we have that tip off, that NBA special. It's still going on where you get 20% off any of the memberships. So make sure you check that out. Use promo code tip off, and you can get a DFS Army VIP membership for $55 a month. By the way, which is less than half of lesser competitor pricing. We're going to jack up that price. But for DFS Army subscribers, we never raise the price after your initial. You're always locked in. We have people still locked in from when we started as a newsletter at $15 a month or $16. There's still some $10 a month people in DFS Army because I will not raise a price on anybody who's been around. So that's something to keep in mind. And real quick, before we move on, I want to mention our sponsor, No House Advantage. And No House Advantage is a pick'em game where they set up these really nice tournaments and you do pick'em props, select over or under. And the unique thing that No House Advantage does with their game is they set a points total for each prop. So I'll just give you a little example here on screen how to do it. We select a player and we could choose which game we want to target. Like, let's say I really love this Miami-Dallas game, and I like some of these overs on their wide receivers or even Tua. So we just go and we kind of throw up the Tua passing yards. I really like, for example, Tua over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I put him here as like, and if I hit, I get 10 points in this tournament. When I play a quarterback, what I like to do is then correlate that with his wide receivers. So the next I might do Tyreek Hill and grab an over on him. Well, I'm already liking this lineup I'm building, but I'm liking it. I got to finish this up after the show, but you get the idea. This is a 30K, 15K to first contest. So whoever scores the most points, if I'm right about this, I'll get 10 points. If I'm right about this one, I'll get 9, and so on and so forth. You pick 10 props that you like. It's very easy to play, and it's really fun format. It's a cool game that they have going on. If you go over there, you get signed up, and you use promo code DFS Army. They'll give you a deposit match, and you're supporting the show and keeping it free. Ed is still in here at $16 a month. This is what I'm talking about. First of all, thank you for your loyalty, my brother. That means you've been with me since 2015 or 14, before most people who are watching this even knew that DFS existed. Don't forget
straight value right there.
What's that?
That's straight value right there.
Yeah, it really is.
$16 a month.
Return on investment. That's wild.
That it was a great investment. I appreciate you, Ed B, and everybody who subscribes to DFS Army. Like, you guys are the lifeblood that you allow us to like talk about fantasy sports and DFS for a living, which is the coolest thing ever. By the way, try meeting new people and they ask you what you do. You ever do that? I'm like,
yeah.
Play fantasy football. They're like, what?
They're like, what's that?
What? You serious? I never get it too far. I just tell them I play fantasy football.
Yeah, and just go from there. People don't really know what you're talking about most of the time.
They're like, who do I start? I'm like, oh, here we go. Anyway,
yeah, that's the questions I get.
You get people's wives messaging you, and oh god, it's a thing.
Now my kids' friends text me.
Kids' friends, wow.
Yeah, because they're high schoolers and they play fantasy football. Like my daughters, their guy friends text me like, Cove. I'm like, you're a boy who's friendly with my daughter. It's Mr. Allen to you, motherfucker. Don't do it. They never say it. Like,
shit.
What? Anyway, so let's continue on this running back position here and this running back conversation, because it's really important this week. So there's some core plays up top. So yeah, at the let me pull it up by salary over here on DraftKings. And by the way, a lot of this stuff applies to FanDuel as well. It's really not that different, although, man, there's some slightly different pricing. But yeah, Kanger knows what's up. Play car. So yeah. All right. So Jonathan Taylor's another one. So I think Henry's going to suck up all the ownership. I think Barkley's going to be second, and you will get McCaffrey or Taylor as your tournament alternatives for super, super low ownership. I'm not down with Dalvin Cook. I don't think he belongs priced with the elite tier of running backs this year, the way they're using him. The volume, not there. Where's the volume? Where is it? 18, 17, 13, 20. Not good enough. You know who does get volume, though? This guy, Josh Jacobs. New Orleans has not been as good against the run this year as in recent years. They had been a team where you want to completely avoid running backs against. I think we can go right back to Josh Jacobs. What do you say, Burns?
Oh, I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I like Kamara in this one too. So
I don't hate the Kamara side. I like Kamara better with Andy Dalton. That's for sure. I don't love Kamara when it's Jameis Winston in there, but with Dalton, he definitely, look at the last couple games with Dalton, 9 targets.
Yeah, he is. So if you like Dalton enough to actually play him this week as your quarterback, not saying that I would ever want to do this, but
yeah, you said that in a way where you were like, yeah, I'm not gonna ever do this.
But Kamara and Olave in a stack with the red rifle might be okay this week. So
everybody's going to see these comments and think like, oh, what does DFS Army cost? $16? Like, no,
it's not $20 anymore.
It's $69.99 right now. It's going up.
But if you get it at this price, you'll keep it. That's the most important thing, because it's going to go up later.
If you use code TIPOFF, you'll get it for $55, and it will lock in forever. By the way, that's another thing I'm just going to mention real quick, and I'm going to promote real quick the Sharp app. The Sharp app, we've been absolutely crushing it against the bets. Our NBA top props article is, I mean, it was fire last season, up 120 units, and I'm fine. It's already up 36 units for the season this year. It's just one thing. Our Skynet AI model, again, betting the NBA games has just been a money machine. And I can't even stress this enough.
And I'm not trying to shade other websites or things of that sort, but you see across the industry, there are people really struggling when it comes to betting NBA, and the Sharp app has been on point with it. I can't even bet in North Carolina, and I'm upset that I can't bet in North Carolina because that article has been so good.
I don't watch basketball at all. I don't follow it at all. I'm NFL all day, all night. I do not have time for other sports. I'm betting that shit and crushing it. If you're on the Sharp app, I just follow the model. So check it out. You can download the Sharp app. And the reason I brought it up is because similar to the way we run DFS Army, we keep the pricing like for the premium plans much lower than where it should be on the Sharp app, just to get early momentum going. The same way we built with DFS Army, that price will continue to go up over time. I have no doubt, for example, that our Sharp app subscription will be up to $50 or $60 a month within 6 to 12 months and up from there. So get it now. It's $150 a year and it locks in forever. We're $29 a month. It locks in forever. And if you're a DFS Army subscriber, promo code DFS Army actually gets you the first month free. So make sure you check it out. You can go to sharp.app to sign up or just download it off the iPhone or Google store. And Sharp app definitely does work in North Carolina. The problem is North Carolina does not allow legal sports betting as of yet. Mm-hmm. And Josiah is not a crypto, illegal sports book kind of a guy. I can tell you're not that person. All right, let's continue down the running back list here. It's Josh Jacobs, Kamara in the mid zone, but we get down to this sexy area here. Under sub 7K. And I think this is really where you're going to live. So we already talked a little bit about Tony Pollard. This is basically a lock button. Every lineup is a decision. Do I start with Pollard? Don't I? I will have a shit ton of Pollard in my lineups because I love him. Right? Burns, give me some guys. So like Swift, you guys both said you like Swift. Swift is not going to get the volume of any of the other running backs in the zone. Coming off the injury, probably a 50% of the volume guy, but very, very big play ability in a game that looks sexy. Walker, also not the greatest matchup, but my God, I love Walker right now. This dude looks the part. He's been hot. I mean, every time we've seen him on the field, he looks amazing. Burns, do you have any kind of preference for home, away, favored running backs? Like, what do the metrics say about this group? Because I already know I like Pollard. I already know I like Mostert, and I like a lot of them, but how much of each one do I need to really get exposure? And are there some that you can rule out and say, I don't want this guy?
So running the updated numbers, right now, the home favorites are just blowing up right now. The last few weeks has crushed it. So I would really start to target home favorites as your running backs. Away dogs they're in the mix too, as the second highest generated in the winning Millie Maker lineups, but it is the home favorites. So I would definitely look at your home favorites to be targeting them. So your Pollards, your Walkers.
Is Walker favored?
He is. Yes, he is. So isn't. I think the one that's going to go highly unlooked in this salary range, and he's in a really good game to actually have a blow up game, is Miles Sanders. We already know that the game is already projected to have a total spread of 10. It's 10.5 now, I believe. So they could lean on Sanders a lot in this game. So a lot of the ownership's going to go to Pollard. Then it's probably going to go to, it might even go up to Walker a lot based on historical performances that he's had in the last couple of weeks. So The guy that might actually be your moneymaker this week in that salary range is Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders seemed like the ultimate tournament play. I mean, both of you guys have mentioned him way more times than I would generally expect to hear Miles Sanders' name on a slate like this, which, is going to spark my personal interest. I have a league where I have a choice. It's a pretty fucking good team, but I have a choice between Dalvin Cook, Miles Sanders, or really Swift. And I went with Swift, but could you make an argument for Sanders even over Dalvin Cook in like a traditional fantasy football league? Because Dalvin Cook's like the stud and whatever, but it hasn't been that great this year. And Miles Sanders is in such a slam dunk kind of spot if they run him another 25 times.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, you can make an argument for it. So continuing on the same bandwagon, I love it. I think the Sanders play is really sneaky. I don't think Kenny Walker is going to be high owned. Ramondre was popping on a lot of projection models. I do not love Ramondre. I think I'm going to avoid it pretty completely. I love Ramondre as a player, but the Jets are really a team that's existing on playing good defense. And Ramondre is still in a split. I don't really think I don't like his upside as much as I like some of these other guys. Another name, so we're going to eliminate because they're all pretty good. Another name I'm going to mildly reduce my interest in here is Dameon Pierce. Burns is saying home favorites. This is a home underdog, which I don't believe is the best scenario for running backs. It's one of the worst scenarios. And he's going, and I love that you're nodding, Burns. Always correct me if I'm wrong because it's your numbers that I'm going off of for a lot of this stuff. But Titans are also good versus the running back. They're on the statsational like running back fantasy points allowed sheet. They are specifically reducing the average number of points scored by opposing running backs this season compared to their average. So this is not a team that you really want to target with running backs against. And normally I don't give a shit. The volume is there. I'll play him. But this week, the volume is there for this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. So when I have all of these volume choices, I don't mind staying away from it. Raheem Mostert gets the other cupcake matchup on the slate. I do have some concerns with Mostert.
Yeah.
But they're primarily like, this guy is in-game injuring us at some point soon.
Don't say that. Don't put that out.
Bro, it's coming.
It
Josiah,
is.
you don't deserve to have him putting up numbers, pick 18 on your underdog. You think you're going to get a whole year of that?
Yeah.
You're not getting it. That is not who Raheem Mostert is. He is always hurt. You don't get a full season. Enjoy what you got and be happy and just say thank you. Now
I wouldn't be hurt if he has like a small injury and is out for like the next 3 to 4 weeks. I'll be okay with that. That'll be
that. Listen, I don't wish injury upon anyone. I'm just saying, like, I've been around the block and
what's
familiar with Raheem Mostert, and this is not a durable running back. So he does get hurt, and I know it's like he did come off the James knows what's up. He's like, bro, I've been following this guy, and that is what he does. It's coming. I don't know how to predict it. Can you imagine if you we'll do that on the showdowns, James. We're not doing that on a main slate with 50 other options that we know are starting. We'll wait for the showdown. Let's hope it happens in a showdown because we can do that.
Yeah.
But but Raheem Mostert's in a great spot. It's freaking Detroit. Mostert's not putting up 30s, so it's not like crazy great production. But I mean, he's got the matchup. Ooh boy! So you got to be interested there. And then this is the chalk that I think we could fade. All right. So you talk about smash or pass. We're talking about smashing, passing on Pollard. If I have to fade, if this guy is going to be 35% owned, and I like Dante Foreman.
Mm-hmm.
If this guy's going to be 35% owned, I think I'm going to fade it.
Yeah. When he's that popular, the overall matchup isn't great in general. For me, it was going to be more of like a volume and price play more than anything, and hoping for just some very normal average ownership. But he's really looking like he's going to be very popular, which I get because everyone's looking for value.
Are these numbers real? What is happening?
I think they are. He's so cheap. He's like 5,300. Like
he's really going to be 35%.
He's the cheapest viable running back. Everyone loves playing.
Gosh, You talk about a pass. I thought I was getting sneaky by adding him to my my pick sheet. Obviously after the Chuba news, I was like, "Ooh, I got one more for you."
Yeah.
Right?
As soon as it showed up, I put it in my sheet. I was like, "Yes!" And then now,
yeah, I thought it was sneaky. You can't even play him in a tournament like he's going to be so high owned.
I thought about it this morning, put him in the article, but I'm like, X out.
You X'd it?
I'm not Xing. I'm not. That's both. Though. I like it.
I'm Xing him out of the article. He'll be in the player pool.
The article. I mean, my goodness, Donta Foreman, second highest, but not just second highest, like supreme chalk. We'll see how that works out. This way, I like Donta Foreman.
Yeah,
I like him as a player. I think he's better than a backup running. I think he's got starting. Like Donta Foreman might be the starting running back for this team next year. Like it's not like we need an emergency running back here in Carolina. They're fine with him. He's good. His story is he came out of college. I believe he was a 3rd round draft pick. I believe he was drafted by Houston. Everybody excited about the play. Tears the Achilles, and he got the real kind of tear, not the James Robinson come back in 3 months version. He got the real Achilles tear that kind of made him a shitty player for a full 2 years and a Q tag. But it's been 5 years now, and he's had enough time. It takes more than 24 months to heal from an Achilles, unless you're actually even these guys who healed, they're not looking that great. Like Cam Akers came back a few months later, and where's he now?
Probably gonna get traded.
By the way, he's got the same issue that Kadarius Toney has. It's not a we don't like you as a player or your talent issue. It's we think you're an asshole. Mm-hmm. Is that the wrong way to put it? Like I don't know these guys, but I mean that seems to be the opinion of the team is like this guy needs to go somewhere else because we don't like.
With Toney, I think you were pretty spot on. With Akers, I think you're right. It's just it's not as clear to me. I don't want to put that on him if it's not true.
Isn't it so interesting? Being an asshole. I thought a lot of these guys are assholes, but you got to be some next level kind of an asshole. You know what I mean? Like you got to be a real asshole for the teams. Like we just can't. You're ruining the locker room. We want you gone. Like what level of jerk do you have to be?
A special kind, like you said.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, I think that mostly covers the. I hope 7.9% of the field has Najee Harris. I'm rooting for that.
Yeah.
That's a little free money. And Miles Sanders makes the chalkboard, but I love your guys' combined thoughts on Miles Sanders, and it will get me on him a little bit. I'm still going to have it for the most part. The way I'm going to start my lineups is I'm going to go Pollard. I'm going to go Henry because I'm paying down in other spots. And then, maybe I'll do a Donta Foreman in there. Maybe I'll do a Josh Jacobs in there. Maybe I'll.
The hard part. The hard part for me is I have to kind of force Foreman into lineups because we're paying down at different spots. If you still want Foreman, you have to kind of force him in there because naturally you start paying up at running back because we're paying down at quarterback.
I want to check the FanDuel salary real quick because I have a feeling that these guys are free. No. Foreman, Pollard 6,300, very inexpensive. Foreman, I think, is a better play on FanDuel at 6,400, which because he's a touchdown scorer. So he's a smash in a touchdown. That is the ideal. I mean, he's going to be super high owned on FanDuel, but I think it's probably a better play even than DraftKings on FanDuel, where he's down in a level like the other guy at that price is like Tyler Algier.
Yeah, and I did write up Tyler Algier on my cheat sheet just as like a weird GPP play. He has seen like 60% of the snaps. Last week he saw 60% of the snaps. 20% of the rest of those rushing snaps went to Mariota. So he's getting a lot of run now, and he's starting to take over this backfield. So he's just interesting.
And you love any running back against Carolina.
No, we don't say that anymore. That's in the past.
This is predictable. You love the running back against Carolina. That's predictable. All right, let's talk a little bit of the wide receiver position. And you love those. Listen, Algier, he's not a DraftKings guy. He doesn't catch any passes. This is a FanDuel.
I wasn't even going to mention him on this show because he's just that fringe of a play to me.
Yeah, it's a FanDuel thing. Let's. I don't want to get the hate comments. By the way, guys, as we go through these lists, comment in the comment section, like, who's your favorite of these group? Are you going all right, here's my real question for the watchers. 2 chalk plays. Give me your answers on them. At running back, we've got Pollard 43%. We've got Donta. Is it Dante or Donta? I never know. Some of them go some of them I don't. All right.
I think it's Dante Foreman.
I think it's Dante. Okay, Dante Foreman, 35%. Tony Pollard, 44%. Are you going to play him? Are you fading him? Tell me what you're doing and why. Both, one. Give me a breakdown in the comment section. I read every comment. I'm sick like that. I read every comment. I end up clicking on XYZ girls half the time because I'm like, oh, I read the comment. Just doing my job. Just doing the job.
Oh, man.
They comment too. The hotdate.xyz.
Yep.
Clicked it. Weird shit started
so
popping up. I had to turn the computer off. Don't click on that. Don't click on that. I had to do the old computer off and on thing. That's my IT department came in and flicked the off switch. Pop-ups everywhere. I was like, oh. Okay,
good to know that I shouldn't click them because sometimes it's tempting. Like they'll get you.
There were no hot girls at all. It was
no.
To date, it was. I thought it was a dating site. Just checking.
So, hey, Geek, I got to throw something out there about this RB situation. So I ran the DS with just, quarterback stack with at least one WR tight end, right? Everything else as we normally do it. It is giving me 63% Ramondre.
Yeah, no, Dom loves Ramondre. I think that will change as the week rolls on.
Okay.
Give him let me show you my Dom station real quick. I'll show you on screen what I've already done because I found I got a lot of thumbs going. I got the thumbs down on Dre. Listen, here I talked about this in other areas. The players that you want to show up in lineups, when you're sorted by fantasy points per dollar, let me do that. When you're sorted by fantasy points per dollar, you need to have the guys you want in the top group. So if a guy is in the top group that I don't want, I've got to use the tool to get them further away. Now, I'm not finished with this because a lot of these guys, like the Donta Foreman, like a lot of these projections haven't quite fully caught up to the news. So I didn't want to go too crazy with it because the news changes and then these numbers kind of change. Like I got to hit refresh projections and it all looks different all of a sudden. But in general, the way things set up initially for me, I had to use a lot of a little mini adjustments to get the names I want where I want them. Like, for example, I'll give you another one right here. I prefer Hill to Jefferson. But if Jefferson is up here and Hill is down here, I'm going to get the optimizer will default to Jefferson over Hill. So in order to make it work, I've got to reduce it just enough, even a little more than that, or raise it up with him. Now they're equal, right? So I've got to be able to mess with those thumbs up and thumbs down just to get, look, I mean, by the way, DJ Moore is like beloved in the projection model over all others.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So we'll see. Again, this is early. It's still Friday. These things update throughout the weekend. But, you got to make those little adjustments. So let's go back to this wide receiver spot. We talked a lot about it in conjunction with quarterbacks. So I just kind of want to get your favorite stud, middling, and value play. And I'll just go around the room here as we're getting late on time. So Josiah, give me 2 of the studs that you really like, that you're focused on. And then Burns, I'm going to ask you for different ones.
Okay.
We're still at running back, right?
No, we're done. Yeah. Why was there someone we didn't mention?
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure.
Is there another Tyler Algier, right. Brian Robinson? Are we playing Brian Robinson?
No.
Back up Michael Carter. Do we need to play expensive Jets running backs against the Patriots here? Are we good?
Michael Carter is a little interesting. He is a little interesting. It's just the matchup's awful. I think next week. Yeah, next week. We'll see. James Robinson. We'll see.
Van Jefferson, is he starting? Is he back?
No, he's 3,000. He's super cheap. I think that's why he's starting.
If he's coming back, I'm interested in Van Jefferson at 3K.
Yeah, I think
that'd be a solid value play.
I think he might be.
Yeah, I think he is back.
Yeah, if he's back, You know what sucks for me? I just lost Deebo Samuel for the week, and I was like, I got Benny Skoranek to, and now with Van Jefferson, I can't even play Benny Sko. I might be screwed in some of my leagues.
But to answer your question, I like Cooper Kupp this week, and again, since I'm paying down, I can pay up at some of these spots that don't automatically stand out on paper. And it's mostly because Cooper Kupp is still a target monster, and since, like I said, I'm paying down, I can pay up on Kupp this week and be more than comfortable with it. I do like Jefferson. I'm not going to have like lineups that are stacked with like high end receivers, but I think Kupp is like my low owned. Michael Pittman's also my low owned receiver I want to have exposure to, and then the popular receivers I like are of course like Tyreek Hill and DeAndre Hopkins.
I'm down with that. Burns, who stands out from your point of view at the stud zone?
Stud zone is different from Josiah. So I like Nuke this week. I think he's got a great matchup. Let's see. Tyreek Hill. I love Tyreek this week.
So far, we're on the right track.
Let's see. I do not mind Pittman this week with Ellinger. I think he could have a nice connection there.
Dude, if Pittman all right, let me point out one thing about Pittman. You lock him in only with Ellinger. That dude cannot be in a lineup without Ellinger. Cannot. Now, if Pittman is doing anything good enough to justify 7,200, I promise you, I absolutely will guarantee stone cold lead pipe lock button that Ellinger will be in the nuts lineup alongside of Pittman. Like if Pittman is in the nuts, Ellinger is in the nuts, 100%. You don't need to do Pittman with any. I want you to make a rule, Burns. You do not play Pittman without Ellinger.
Of course.
Don't allow it.
I won't.
Do not allow it.
My other stud, and he's almost a stud every week, is Amon-Ra. He's awesome. If I go down the board, I think a middling salary guy that you almost have to have in your lineups is Olave this week. Don't really know what's going on with MJ yet, so
he's out. He's
out this week.
Playing. Yeah.
Okay, so that makes Olave even more valuable.
Yeah. Love that.
And that'll lead me towards a value play on the slate. So let's see. Let me get one more. Another guy I kind of like this week, and he's been popping in the DS for me, and I haven't really done anything to actually get him in there, has been Curtis Samuel. But he's fine if you're going to if you want to run him in that Indianapolis game. It's okay. It's not a great play. But at the 4.2K range, I like Garrett Wilson this week. He's been popping for me this week. And then below 4K, if I had to go down that far in that New Orleans game without MJ in there now, you could go Callaway this week. So those are kind of where I'm at with things.
I'm really similar to you guys, although I have some different punts that I like. Garrett Wilson, though, that man, I wrote him up and then I deleted it.
Did you?
Yes.
Why?
Because then I thought about Braxton Berrios and how Zach Wilson actually had like the only wide receiver that he's ever been productive with is Braxton Berrios, but for the same reasons, the thought process identical. It's just like, who's he going to throw to? Like, are you really going to reward Elijah Moore for having a hissy fit? I wouldn't. So I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, now we got to get Elijah the ball. I mean, I'll throw to him a couple times, but like, I don't want to reward his little hissy fit. Corey Davis being out, that brings Braxton Berrios into the starting lineup, and just Braxton Berrios has been, Wilson's very limited as a quarterback. He sucks. So Braxton Berrios kind of is like an Edelman / Wes Welker type guy / Wayne Krebet. I'm just gonna name all the wide receivers / Adam Thielen. It's kind of like a Cooper Kupp out there for him. Did I miss anyone? Oh wait, he's kind of like he's like who's the guy from the Bills?
Cole Beasley.
He's Cole Beasley out there.
Like a Steve Largent.
Yeah, wait, how far back are we going? But
that's
no,
going way back.
In weirdness, it's the only guy that Zach Wilson has ever had any success with as a wide receiver. Again, that's the only reason. Is this because Zach Wilson sucks? But no, let me start at the top because Burns, I agree with a lot of you. My core plays for the stud zone are Tyreek Hill and Amon-Ra St. Brown. They're part of the same game. They're part of a game that we want to target this week. So I like those guys because I could play them in the same lineup. And oh, by the way, all the value at running back and quarterback just allows me to do whatever the hell I want. So normally I can't play even one 8K guy, but now I could play multiple 8K guys and it's fine. This
is so nice. I never get to play this way. I'm always like, oh, I can't afford that guy. I guess I can only get 5% of this guy. But now I'm like, oh yes, let's go over the field. This is field day, man.
You should play on FanDuel more where you can always kind of do this, right? FanDuel doesn't require us to find the Braxton Berrios. It doesn't need you to do that. They don't care. That's a DraftKings thing. But like, all right, so getting to the middle zone, again, you guys are both on point. Well, Burns was because you didn't do the middle zone yet, Josiah, but Chris Olave is the best play.
Yeah, like Chris, like I don't even need to talk about it because like that's the answer.
Yeah,
and
Chris Olave is,
he's
the best guy in the middling zone. And I mean, I could get this whole screen right here. Sure, do I not mind Tyler Lockett if he's healthy? I'm fine with it, but I don't love it. Adam Thielen has some interesting matchup based interest for me because I do think that Arizona's good against WR1s for some reason. So maybe the WR2 will be a little bit better. Not looking to play Terry McLaurin or Brandon Cooks. This whole zone, it's just Olave, and then the next guy is DJ Moore. DJ Moore is super playable for me. 10 targets last week. No more Christian McCaffrey to demand the football. It gives you an interesting pivot off of Supreme Chalk Donta Foreman, which just is a bonus. So we should almost stop mentioning him on the show because I don't want people to figure out that Olave is like a cheat code right now. He is Deontay Johnson from last year. I don't want it to get around if I can avoid it. Maybe we have to just not mention it, but we're not going to do that. We're going to give you all the good stuff no matter what.
Like a wink, and then you all know who we're talking about.
Can we wink? I don't want like too much of the public to know, but yeah, he's like a cheat code. But DJ Moore is right there too. There is no Christian McCaffrey on this team to take away looks for DJ Moore. So I love him in the 5K. So we got Olave and Moore. And then if we need to go below that and get these cheaper players, I think a lot of the names that have been mentioned here are great. I kind of like Pickens a little bit early. Wan'Dale Robinson is fine. Alec Pierce or Paris Campbell, I think are both acceptable. Again, only with Ellinger, but really acceptable pairings with Ellinger. Is Paris Campbell the number 2 wide receiver? Maybe it's not Alec Pierce. I don't know. But there's also that thing where you get the number 3 guy in Alec Pierce, and he's practiced with Ellinger just because that's how practice works. They probably have reps together more than these other guys. I'm down with your Garrett Wilson play a little bit. Burns, the Dom Station loves him, but I actually prefer Braxton Berrios. We can go down a little bit cheaper for Berrios and probably lock in, 5 or 6 targets and, a nice little 12-pointer.
That's your own sneaky play right there, though. That's a heck of a call.
Yeah, no one's going to be on Braxton, or I don't think so anyway. And then again, I do watch the Jets, and I watch every game. I don't like that. I hate saying I'm a Jets fan because it doesn't matter. I watch every team. I watch the tape of every game every week for every team. So
I'm a Giants fan, and it hasn't been much better. I mean,
now it doesn't affect anything for my decisions, but yeah, I do watch these games, and for some reason, I just remember that Zach Wilson and Berrios have a better connection, and it's just he's the only guy who's ever prospered that I can remember when Wilson plays. But then again, Wilson never really played with Garrett Thomas or Garrett Wilson. Fuck is his last name? They never really actually played together much. Garrett Wilson, they have the same dad. They don't. Zach tells
I'm
Garrett,
like, dude, I'm a Buckeyes fan, so I should know this, right?
Zach told Garrett Zach told Garrett that he's his dad.
You had me thinking there for a minute. I'm like, what?
No, because Zach bangs moms.
Oh,
I knew it was coming. Yep.
So he could be Garrett's dad. It's possible. Man. Zach's like, could be. We need a meme of Zach like on the phone comforting Giselle on the divorce. I got you. You know what I mean? He's already in the DMs.
A1 right away, right now.
Oh, he's definitely in those DMs right now.
No, he probably did it like 2 weeks ago as soon as the rumors started. Like,
yeah, actually, he's a scumbag. He'd do it early. That's right. Now it's okay. He was in there weeks ago.
He might be the reason why they're getting a divorce.
No, oh my gosh. All right, let's let that go. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have brought that up.
You did.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to be that person, so we're going away from it. Tight end position. The only thing I want to mention here is I have not been interesting.
It is.
By the way, my note for Ellinger this week is Ellinger makes the slate fun.
Great note.
It makes it fun. Enjoy it. You know who's the killjoy? DFS up north.
Why is he against it? Don't tell me that.
He is shitting all over. He does this every time. He shits all over it.
That's scary though. Up north is super sharp.
He is, and I cannot brush off what he tells me, but he is shitting all over the Ellinger play. Just be aware of it.
Is he on golf though? Does he like golf?
No, he definitely doesn't. I don't know, actually. I didn't ask him about golf, but I do know that I already knew before that he was going to shit all over the Ellinger. That's just what he does. I don't know about golf.
I'm going to mess.
Where was I, though? George Kittle. I want to talk about tight ends here. Now, this week was not a week to pay up a tight end until the Deebo Samuel news came out.
Yep.
Because George Kittle has absolutely smashed in games when Deebo Samuel was out. We saw it last year. So now I'm going to add George Kittle into my mix of, because he scored 40. It wasn't like he did. He put up like 35, 40, and it was against like the Bears. It wasn't even a high scoring matchup. This guy put up 40 points last year in 2 games that Deebo missed. So he's got to be in my mix. But after that, for me, I like to go very inexpensive at tight end. And I'm pretty much going to skip this whole crew right here and just be kind of on like the Gesicki, Schultz, and Irv Smith Jr. zone. Burns, I'm going to take it over to you because, again, you've got numbers and metrics on this stuff. But where are you going at tight end this week?
My tight ends of choice are Gesicki, Irv Smith, Noah Fant, that I'm working on right now or working with right now.
What am I missing about Noah Fant? What am I missing?
The Giants are kind of a middling defense against the tight ends, and he's at home. He's favored.
Isn't he splitting touches though with Will Dissly?
Yeah, he is.
I don't know.
The price is right. It's a fair play. It's just it's a salary saving play, and I think that's the reason why a lot of people have him in their cash lineups this week.
Noah Fant's popping and Kyle Pitts is popping. I know you didn't mention them, Birds, but does anyone know why people are really high on Pitts today?
I think I know, and it's just because the salary. Projection models are looking at 2 things. They're looking at the projection model is looking at your target share in the offense, and and the game environment, and the target share for Kyle Pitts is pretty high. They just don't throw it a lot. Yeah. That's why London keeps showing up. It's like, oh, he's a 30% target share guy, and the salary keeps coming down. Yeah, it's because they don't throw it that frequently. But Kyle Pitts, he gets like 4 targets a game. I don't know. I'm not excited about it. He's popping though, but I'm not excited. Josiah, are you playing him? Like, I know he's popping in the model, but are you playing
no, I mean, that's the only reason why I was considering it. Like, I was trying to get a little bit more context. Outside of that, my tight end list looks very similar to Burns. Like, super high on Irv Smith, I'm high on George Kittle, but I'm still trying to figure out the truth of it because that situation of Christian McCaffrey coming back really does scare me off of him a little bit.
Yeah, it does add a dimension that wasn't in play last year.
Yeah, a high target share dimension that's a little scary, but yeah.
Comic Fish, you are not allowed to step out during the show because the stats need to be coming fast and furious. So we'll allow it this time, but next time.
Yeah, I want to see how that McCaffrey thing pans out this week without Debo in there.
I agree, by the way. I just want to, there's not that much to talk about right here at tight end because I totally agree with what you guys just said. I want to mention the reason Irv Smith is interesting for us is because of just the propensity of this Arizona defense to force targets to the tight end position. We don't even get like the Daniel Bellinger cheat code. Like, no, he's out. So it's pretty gross overall this week at the tight end position. I think Gesicki is the best of them for me. Dalton Schultz, I'm worried about the knee. So I think Dalton Schultz is an in-game injury risk that I don't really want to take if I don't have to. I think Dalton Schultz is massively underpriced for where he should be. He should be probably 5K. I don't see Schultz as a worse play than Ertz or like if you had Schultz. Let me put it like this: if you had Ertz and Dalton Schultz and Dallas Goedert on your fantasy team, you'd have to be like, which one should I play this week? And you have to really think about it. And I'm not sure what the right answer would be. It might be Schultz.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he's a full 1,500 below those guys. So, like, it's clear to me that he's a value based on just, I'd probably play him over Ertz. And why is he so much cheaper than him? But that Q tag, visually watching him get the knee hurt last week and then kind of like just shaking it off, but it's there. Plus the feeling I got from Mark Andrews. There's nothing worse than an in-game injury.
Yeah.
Sucks. It ruins your day. And then you say to yourself, why did I take an injured guy? He was injured before. Why did I do that? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have to do that. Why did I do that? And then it ruins your whole thing. So I am worried about Schultz and the in-game injury, but he's cheap enough that even if he got an in-game injury, it doesn't even kill you. Like I said, at 3,500, got a 6. Okay.
Andrews killed everything last week. It was awful.
Yeah, well, last week, Andrews definitely, he ruined you. I don't mind when it happens on a showdown because I make lineups for with that injury. Like I had likely in my non-Andrews, like it was fine, but when it happens on a main slate, that sucked. Although Andrews, again, it didn't hurt you. Actually, Burns, I'm going to tell you again, I'm going to go back to what I said about Pittman. If you locked in Andrews with his quarterback wasn't winning you a tournament anyway. So as those lineups were already dead because Lamar wasn't doing it. So you know what I mean? Like if you contain the damage to certain lineups, then a 20% or a 15% player that you own doesn't have to really kill like 15% of all your lineups. It just killed lineups that were already dead because Lamar Jackson was failing. If you're able to, that's one little nugget, as I think we'll close the show off on this, that one little knowledge nugget, right? Think about Michael Pittman. There is no scenario where Michael Pittman is in the perfect lineup and winning you $1 million that didn't involve Sam Ehlinger also in that lineup. It didn't. There's no scenario, so why do it? You might as well lock them in together. If you're going to have a lot of Chris Olave this week, then Andy Dalton, if you're going to play any of him, you don't just allow him to be with Chris Olave. You make sure that they're together. He's locked so that if Andy's there, Olave's there. Like if I love a player, I'm locking him in with the quarterback. That means that, so if I had 20% Olave and 5% Dalton.
Okay. Yeah.
Those, it's not, I'm not saying I will have Dalton in every Olave. Understand? I want to, so that my
that's like you might have saw my brain going. I was like, I don't know.
I want my words to be clear. The difference was with Pittman, I will not have Pittman without Ehlinger. That doesn't mean I won't play Ehlinger without Pittman. I definitely will because I don't think Ehlinger needs to do enough to carry Pittman in order to be in the nuts. Ehlinger could get there 10 different ways, but Pittman, if he's in the nuts, Ehlinger is definitely in there with him. So I don't need to have a Pittman ruining lineups that don't have Ehlinger in it. It doesn't make sense. Don't do that. And you'll save yourself from like more dead lineups than you need, right? You wouldn't handcraft it.
I agree.
I like to think the more players you could find where you can really determine that is the case for them, the better your chances are going to be of just not having Mark Andrews destroy 30% of your lineups last week because he got hurt, or he didn't even get hurt. He just got like a 0. He was basically hurt going in the game and we didn't know it. I wish the Bengals were on the slate so we could load up.
Dude, I so do wish to, man, because Chase is out and everybody is going to be scrambling how to go with it. And a lot of people go to Boyd. And I'm like, it's a Higgins week,
Yeah,
bro.
no, it's all about Higgins.
Higgins week. It's a mixing week.
We'll be excited about that one for the showdown. But let's wrap it up there, guys. Tournament tactics. I'm trying to make it a 1-hour show, and somehow it just never works out.
The one thing I'll add is that for VIP members, definitely do turn into our pre-lock show. It will be on Sunday at 11:30 a.m. and it will go until 12:30 p.m. This week we have Burns, the one and only, who is here, and BobbyWow. You'll be able to get a little bit of his input as well. He'll be on the show too. So definitely tune into that. That's
going to be a must-watch pre-lock. Can't wait for that one. Burns, when's your Shark Lab article coming out?
It's coming out tonight, probably later tonight. So don't DM me to get it. It'll be never there when DM. It's there, man.
Yeah. As a general rule, never DM. If you're in DFS Army and you're watching this and you hear a DM and you're like, what the fuck are they talking about? A lot of people who are in DFS Army don't realize that we are extremely active in our Discord. We are talking nonstop, and people have a hard time figuring out how to get to the Discord. I don't know, but if you click this button right here, there's a free Discord for the public. And then there is a premium Discord only for our subscribers. It's all part of the same thing, but you've got to sync up your account. So you've got to go through this button right here on the dfsarmy.com website. Make sure you're in the Discord. I get a lot of people like email questions and I'm like, I don't understand why you're not just asking me the question direct. Like email the 90s called and they want their method of communication back. Like we are in a chat together. It is premium. It's something you pay for as part of your DFS Army subscription. You should definitely be in the Discord if you are subscribed. And if you're not subscribed, again, promo code TIPOFF is still going strong. Probably going to end on Sunday, but that's a 20% off code to any of our plans. VIP, Core 4, if you just do the Core 4 sports. NFL only, you want to hang with me and Bob and Burns and BobbyWow and the NFL crew. That's cool too. Although we don't recommend it. Do all sports or at least core sports. You got to be playing NBA.
I got to send out a plug to Josiah, man. He rocked it this week in NBA. Y'all, if you're not listening to the tournament tactics for NBA and the pre-lock show that Josiah does, you guys are doing it wrong. Josiah got me onto Ja Morant. I think it was Monday evening, and I threw out. I haven't played in a bit, so I just took it real light and slow and played about 249 in entries, rolled it out with a 4.4 X in winning. So you can do it, man. It's there.
I saw Sun Tzu posting on Twitter a little thank you to Josiah earlier in the week also.
He thanked you too this week.
I thought it was more you than me.
No, that was an NFL win, but he got an NBA one too. The NFL win was, he said, hey, thanks for not hanging out with me on Saturday because your notes were better than they might have been.
Sun Tzu, man.
That's why I don't leave the house.
We had a 17K win yesterday in NBA too. There's definitely a lot of money to be made there.
But he rolls it all the time. He just doesn't post all the time.
People want to hang out, and I should have a life, but I don't because I'm here in the basement crunching numbers, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to make DFS Army and these videos and everything the best that we can make them. So. You know, I told Sun Tzu, I'll see you in February, bro. I'll see you in February. Don't call me before then.
Then we got to catch up, right?
Yeah, I got to catch up. Let me know what's going on in the world. He's like, there was an election. Oh, there was? I'll find out in February.
We got to play catch up with MMA. It's like, oh shit.
That too, of course. So again, if you enjoy the show, make sure you like and subscribe as well to the channel. If you're subscribed, you will get Josiah's daily NBA breakdowns. It is a must watch. It gets you prepared. That is open to the public. NBA tactics. What do we call it?
This is the pre-lock show.
Yeah.
Oh, the first show is the tournament strategy show.
NBA tournament strategy show every day. Josiah breaking it down, giving you the overview. So at the very end, that's part of the channel. So make sure you're subscribed and you always hit that like and notification bell and all that good stuff. We will see you guys next time on another Tournament Tactics. Deuces, everyone.